Hi, today we're in Tom and Maddie's garden and we're going to do part B of our survival skills. And part B was making a damper. But before we do that, I want to tell you a little bit about the dragon that we've got. It's a metal dragon and you make a fire in its tummy and flames come out of its mouth. It's amazing. Now, lots of people make fire in different ways. You can use matches, you can use a lighter. When you watch some of these survival programs, sometimes they rub sticks together. I've never been able to light a fire by rubbing sticks together. The only person that I've ever seen do that on television is Ray Mears. He's brilliant at it. I'm not so good. I just use a match and lighter. I have done it once with a magnifying glass, but not very often. So we've lit our fire. We want it to burn down a bit so that it's more ashes than flames. And then we're going to have a go at making a damper. And a damper really is flour, a bit of milk, maybe an egg. You make a nice dough, then you wrap it around a green stick. Do you know what I mean by a green stick? Yes, Linda?
A damaged one, but not that damaged.
Well, sort of. You get it from a live tree, and you shouldn't really do, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I got a stick from a live tree. If I had a penknife, I'd take off the bark, and they call it green because it's still alive, and you can still see the green. Can you just see a little bit of the green stick that's left? When you put it in the fire, it's still wet and it won't burn. Now, I've made the dough already. When me and my friend Michael Smith, not Michael Jackson, he used to live opposite me, not the Michael Jackson, it was Mike Jackson. My other friend that lived next door to me, Michael Smith, we went out into the fields, we got some wheat and ground some corn down to make this dough, but I didn't have time today. I've just bought some dough. I've added some milk, I've added some eggs, and I'm just going to get a little bit, make it into a sort of a snake. Can you see that? Have you got that, Marley? It's Marley behind the camera. We've got the Greaves boys, Lyndon and Geetus helping me out today, and I'm just going to wrap the dough around the green stick. Can you see that? You got that? And then I'm going to put that into the fire and cook it, and it turns into a sort of bread. It's not delicious, but it's a sort of bread. I've made one earlier and I've tried a bit and it's actually not too bad. But I'm going to put it in there. It'll take us a couple of minutes to cook, Marley, so can you make sure you've got, do you want to come around and just sit on this stool? And I'll put that in. And hopefully over the next couple of minutes it will turn into beautiful bread. Now, I learnt this yesterday. I told you about my time in the SAS. If you've seen the video of my archery, I was in the SAS for a little while, and that was the Sleaford Archery Society. I learnt how to do this in the SBS. Some people think that's a special boat service, but I always was led to believe it was Sleaford Baking Society. That's the SBS, the Sleaford Baking Society. Now, I'm just keeping it above the ashes, and over a couple of minutes I hope it will harden and turn into normal bread. And what you can do when it's finished, you can get a little bit of butter or margarine, or as my friends called it, margarine, put a little bit of jam on it, and then you could eat it like a beautiful sandwich that you might have on a Sunday afternoon with the vicar. There we go, look, it's still going. Let's have a look. It's starting to go, and you can tell it's ready when you flick it. Rather than making a sort of doughy soft sound, it makes a hard flicky sound. So we'll keep it in there for a bit longer. I'd much prefer it, Geetus, if you didn't flick those things, if that's alright. And I'm just turning it round, look, so it gets a nice even brown colour. Can you see me turning it? And then we could share it amongst the 6 of us, couldn't we? Break it up and share it. Would you eat any, Lyndon?
Yes.
Boys, would you eat any?
Yeah.
Marley, would you eat any?
Yeah,
You reckon? Can you see that starting to go a nice brown colour now? That looks and will taste just like the bread you buy in the supermarket. Do you know what make of bread that you would get if it was your parents going shopping? Would you know what bread that you always get? Geeters?
Would it be oatmeal?
Could be oatmeal.
Uh,
I like 50-50 Kingsmill. That's my own personal favourite.
Same.
But here we go. And that now is starting to go a nice colour. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break off this end bit. Oh, I'll flick it first just to check it's ready, just to see if you can hear it. Can you hear that? That shows it's a bit harder, and I'm going to break a tiny bit off. That is absolutely delicious. It tastes like bread. It looks like bread. It is bread. I'm going to leave that in there because to finish off with, Marley, I don't know if you've ever injured your hand, and sometimes when I was in the SBS, my hand was injured and I needed to do some cooking, so I learned how to break an egg with one hand. So I'm just going to go around here, Marley. Let's see if we can manage it. Here we go. So I've got the egg. Remember, this hand is injured. So that's my injured hand. I've got the egg. I'm going to break it on my head, then break it in the bowl. You're right to stand back, boys. I would stand back too. Are you ready for this? It might go all horribly wrong. Here goes. There. Not a drop on me. Marley, not one drop on me running down my head. Clear as day. Thank you very much. Next week, we're making bivouacs and I'm showing you my Emma Bridgewater collection. See you next week.